How's it going, everybody? It's your boy, and guess what? Lindsay Shepherd, everybody. Lindsay Shepherd. You know, the girl who was bullied and punished for a university lecture that she did where she basically played a clip of Jordan Peterson during one of his many arguments with SJWs, particularly the one about gender pronouns, and she presented it in a neutral way to show her classmates and pupils, and of course the university higher-ups did not like what she did and basically tried to force her to not do that again and to conform, and they did this through bullying, and I think they made her cry. The full recording is online for those of you who already know about this or don't know about this. I'll probably provide a link, but it's not really relevant to this necessarily, although her as the character within that definitely is, because loads of people came out to support this woman and her free speech, and rightfully so, because I think anybody should be able to express their ideas, and nobody is more fitting than Lindsay. And she got a outpouring of support. She was on Dave Rubin's show, she was doing speeches, she made a video declaring goodbye to the left, and she became a public figure literally overnight. But of course, it wouldn't come full circle without her suddenly deciding to essentially jump the shark. And this was on Twitter, of course, and this is what she had to say. So it started off with her responding to a journo called Alethea Raj, and she says, so the CPC 2018 workshop voted overwhelmingly in favour of free speech, but are now voting to support laws that prevent pornography exposure to adults. Now, to anybody who reads that, that is a hypocritical stance on freedom of expression and speech. That is, oh, we're all about free speech, but you people who make pornography, yeah, we're going to censor your content and make sure that the least amount of people, adult people, not kids, no, your audience, your potential audience, can't watch it. Now, how they're going to do that, we don't know. But this is what Lindsay says next. Haha, I'm actually down with this. Internet pornography is disgusting, and I would never date a man who watches it, as opposed to pornography in a magazine, or ancient pornography like you'll find in archaeological dig sites where they have fertility gods and goddesses, or even Roman graffiti or street art. In Pompeii, for example, if I watched that, if I looked at it, would I be less of a man to you? Considering that I am an historian and Rome is one of my many special subjects close to my heart, I would have to look at that shit. So would I be less of a man? Would I be less of a man if I was studying pornography throughout the ages? So I would have to look at the modern stuff. Am I less of a man for that? Oh, I guess it's internet porn that's your problem. I wonder why. I'm glad there is a movement among men who used to watch it but realised how harmful it is and stopped. Is that the no-fap guys? It goes beyond just not watching porn. It goes beyond pseudoscience about how bad masturbation is, let alone pornography. So we can glean from this that Lindsay Shepherd does not actually like pornography, nor does she like men who watch it. So already she's kind of narrowing her pool of men, and as Louis Laveau said, yeah, good luck trying to find a man by the time you're 30, lady. But she never says exactly how harmful it is, why it's harmful. She does mention something about addiction, which may or may not exist, and then she gets a backlash. Let's have a look at the backlash quickly. I'm a fan, says Philip, but you seem inconsistent. Free speech is free speech. Lindsay Shepherd, is internet pornography really free speech though? Targa, do the F1 grid girls have the right to demean other women? Why? Or do women have a right to conduct themselves freely and make their own decisions? If not, why not? And lastly, if it's a voluntary, on what grounds would you say that it should be exempted as a right of free speech or expression? What about amateur porn? What's disgusting about watching that? Plenty of those channels are started by couples or the women themselves. Yeah, I think that's usually fine. Or she would be happy to know that a lot of the porn industry is actually run by women these days. And a lot of the porn actresses run their own businesses, be it outside of porn, although that's quite difficult even today, or their own, yeah, it can be escort services. It can also just be porn that they do on the side that they submit on their own websites and things like that. Like, they run their own production companies, they sign contracts, they have to make sure that they're protected, especially the straight porn industry. There's a lot of rules and regulations and people are protected, not just from diseases, but also abuse and exploitation. I guess you would need to go and talk to Mercedes Carrera. She can educate you on this. And then Lindsay says that she has a boyfriend who's an intelligent and hardworking man. You really are kind of trying to push your marketplace a little wider by accepting men that you really don't want to. Okay. I get it. She then posts some bait. Don't respond to that, guys. Come on, that's obviously bait. So here's this video where she says what it's like to be a free speech warrior. I can't believe she's actually saying that unironically, because usually that's the SJWs who use that against people like me to mock me, even though it doesn't really work because it makes me feel awesome. But I would never call myself that, because that's just too ego-driven even for me.
I was at a speaking event earlier this month in Australia, where I was introduced as Lindsay Shepherd, a symbol of free speech. And at that moment, a lot of things clicked for me, and things I had been thinking for a while came together.
That definitely happened. .x.
When you are seen as a symbol of something, you are, in a sense, depersonalized. Instead of being a person who is nuanced and full of complexities and contradictions, you are a direct representation of the free speech cause, and everything you say and do should unambiguously reflect your stance on free speech.
I don't know, when you're going on to interviews with Dave Rubin and you're doing speeches about free speech and things like that, one could be mistaken to think that that's exactly what you want people to view you as. God, trad thoughts in general. They do one thing and then expect you to view them in an opposite way. It's frustrating.
You are seen as static instead of dynamic. You are a one-dimensional person. Everything about you is related to free speech, and it's assumed to be the only thing that you care about.
While I do see your point, actually, and I can see this happening to people who aren't even free speech warriors, quote unquote. They're people who are, say, like rock stars or authors, anything like that, celebrities. People don't really see the person behind the image. Like actors, for example, people always want to please them and get to know them, whether it's for good things or bad things. I do understand that. However, why does this somehow excuse your blatant hypocrisy? I guess you're going to explain that.
Every action you do and everything you say is seen as being connected to the free speech cause, and you can't divorce yourself from it.
And you have nobody to blame but yourself. You went out there and made yourself out to be like that through your actions. So people only saw the image being presented by you. That was you, that wasn't me. I didn't present you like that. I thought you were somebody who was like me, who is in favour of free speech and free expression. I'm wrong. And you are right, people have contradictions, people are complicated, but that's not really an excuse for those contradictions. They just exist. It's up to them to either fix those contradictions or live with them. It's pretty clear that you would rather live with them. And that's fine, you can do that.
My story involving Wilfrid Laurier University only came out less than a year ago, so circumstances will likely change, but for now this is how it is. But let me make myself clear. I'm not complaining about being a symbol of free speech. I obviously think that what I did in regards to the Wilfrid Laurier University recording needed to be done, but I'm just trying to objectively analyze what it means for someone normal and non-elite, to be a symbol of something.
No, not at all. She's a public figure making money off of it, I assume, because I don't know if she's working in universities anymore.
And I'm using myself as an example.
The way we should be viewing this is not through the lens of Lindsay Shepherd saying that she's a normal person, doing normal things, having a normal job. She doesn't. She's a public figure, and a political one at that. And this is what we really should be viewing it as. That's what she's viewing it as, not as a normal person. She isn't.
If you can think of other people who are seen as a symbol of something, please leave it in the comments, because I'm interested in checking out their life trajectory. And of course, I'm not only referred to as a symbol, but also a free speech activist, or advocate, or warrior, but my comments still stand. You're still seen as one-dimensional, and everything you do is brought back to free speech. You're not allowed to develop or be a dynamic and complex person.
Can't help but feel that this is what SJWs say about gender roles and their role in society when it comes to their race. You can't do this, you can't do that, people can't let you do this, people can't let you do that. Well, you can always walk away. You can always either walk away from this entirely or be less public. There's something you can do. You can concentrate on other things to do with what you want to do in regards to politics or free speech, whatever. You can take a more subdued role. You can do that. Nobody's telling you anything. Nobody's forcing you to do anything. It's all down to you. When I set up this YouTube channel, or when I set up my previous one, or rather started using the previous one, that was all down to me. That was what I chose to do. I was influenced by people to speak up, but ultimately it was me who made the decision. They didn't make it for me. Can't help but feel you're trying to shirk personal responsibility and bring it onto us. Maybe we are at fault for kind of glorifying you, and that's on us. But again, through your actions, we were led to believe you were something you were not.
Some of this is warranted, but a lot of people will use that claim in ridiculous circumstances. And people love to point out anything they perceive as hypocrisy because it makes them feel quite clever and gives them their daily dose of feeling superior.
A common form of projection of SJWs, and I think even some alt-writers may have said it, potentially. But yeah, you're right, I've seen this, I've had this labelled at me, even though I've never flagged anybody who disagreed with me or made responses to me or anything like that. So yeah, I guess I actually am what I say I am. But you're not one of those people, are you?
Alright, so let me go over a couple of common criticisms I get as a free speech warrior. The main thing people love to say is that free speech warriors are hypocrites and only care about protecting the free speech that they like.
Again, good point. Kevin Logan, for example.
Douglas Murray said something really brilliant in a recent interview he did in Australia on a show with the Institute of Public Affairs. I'll put the link in the description with the timestamp. But I will read his quote. So this is him, but I will paraphrase a bit. It's hard not to sort of self-censor in some way in this era, because everyone who's a writer, speaker, thinker, or public figure is basically trained, you train yourself or you're trained, to learn to write or speak in such a fashion that an honest person cannot honestly misrepresent you, that what you said is faithfully understood by decent people acting in a decent manner. The era of social media, among other things, has caused something different to happen, which is that many people are now having to write and think and speak in a manner that ensures that a dishonest critic cannot dishonestly misrepresent you. There's a problem for this, which is that it's not possible to do that.
While it's an interesting quote, I can't help but feel that this has always kind of been the case, and that only, in my opinion, social media hasn't really changed that. Because when this used to be happening back in the day before the internet, this was done in print and in novels, and people would take you out of context through that. To me, it seems like the same thing on the internet, but it's the same people doing it, but it seems to be amplified. That's what I think, and there is a way to get around it, and that is to simply show the full context to all the people. But of course, people don't do that. People don't go and find the sources. Most people, that is. But again, that's something that's happened throughout history. And what has this got to do with anything here? What has this got to do with what you said? Other than you're trying to hand wave what you actually said.
It's not possible. An example of this is what I recently posted on Twitter about internet pornography. I have the tweet up on the screen here. I said I was kind of down with a policy proposal by the Conservative Party of Canada in regards to pornography, which reads, "The Conservative Party acknowledges research which recognizes that pornography is a public health risk affecting individual and public health. We support the development of laws, policies, and programs to prevent pornography exposure and addiction, to develop recovery programs, and to educate society on the harms of pornography."
Yeah, and you're down with that. You're down with that. Remember, people, remember the haha, and actually down with that I mentioned before, okay? Now, where is it there where they actually expand upon what these harms are, and why is it that they're targeting adults rather than children, who you would think the latter are far more likely to suffer these alleged harms? So why is it adults? That's why the alarm bells are ringing, because it wasn't kids, where we all agree kids should not be watching pornography, but they find it anyway. They always do. Whether that's the magazine, which you don't seem to have a problem with, or the internet porn site, which you hate. Yeah, they're gonna find it. I found it.
This didn't pass at their convention's policy session, by the way.
Well, of course not, because they, in one breath, said they were in for free speech, but on the other, this. It was a contradiction, and perhaps most conservatives there realised, yeah, this is ridiculous. And also, perhaps, there wasn't enough evidence put forward to say that, yes, pornography is a health hazard. Can you note the language that they're using here?
But people instantly took my tweet for the worst.
Imagine my shock!
Instantly, people calling me a hypocrite, saying I was never about free speech. I only want free speech for me, but not for thee. I want to criminalize pornography, and I am for government censorship, etc. I have tweets up on the screen here.
Oh, fucking nightmare fuel. But the thing is, you are actually advocating for government censorship, because they were advocating to have less exposure to adults. So that can only mean one thing: less pornography that adults can get. Now, there's a difference between illegal pornography like child porn or revenge porn, which isn't legal everywhere, but you know, whatever, I'm putting it on there because a lot of places have it as illegal, and you know, live viewings of rape and things, you know, the usual things. That is stuff that is rightfully not allowed. But we're talking about consensual sex mass-produced on a film set, or even amateur porn, potentially, which you don't seem to have a problem with, which doesn't make sense because it's all on the internet now. You are advocating for government removal of that, or at the very least, less exposure, which is politics speech for censorship, soft censorship. But then, as we know, the slippery slope can exist, and this is how censorship happens.
People instantly taking my comment on bad faith, even though I started it with haha, and I don't know how seriously people should be taking tweets that begin with haha.
It was just a prank, bro, seriously. But then you said, haha, I actually believed this. So either you're contradicting yourself, or you believe it. Now you're trying to claim now it's a joke, but when we went through these comments, you did not sound like you were joking. You sounded like you were serious about this, and you believed this.
I'm sorry, I'm allergic to bullshit.
No, I don't want to censor, ban, or criminalize pornography.
Then how come you advocate for less exposure?
I think it would be a good thing to educate people about its effects and erase this notion that it's just a normal thing for all guys to watch internet pornography.
Girl, it's been normal to view porn for millennia. Even during the most puritanical years, there was still porn in Europe, and even in the Middle East, believe it or not, if they can find it. But like, it is normal. It's been a part of humanity since we began to express things. It's always been there, and it always will be there. And you know what? Yeah, more education on it. I grant you that. We should have more education, the good and the bad, so that people can make their own choice. However, it seems to me that you're purely only interested in the harmful side effects. And I have to wonder, where are your sources that say that this is an entirely harmful thing and it's a public health hazard? Because this is the thing that you're trying to tell me and others, and you're trying to excuse your blatant hypocrisy on.
And that all guys do it. That's just not true. It's likely true in the past tense that all guys have watched internet pornography, but it's not true in the present tense.
Right now, on this planet, at this very second, as of recording, somebody's beating it off to some hentai shit. Come on, it's true in the present, it's true in the past, and it's true in the future. Somebody out there is going to view it. Somebody's going to make it. Somebody is going to think of it. Where's your brain, Lindsay?
There are still a lot of great men out there who realized how porn is messing up their perception of women and stopped watching it.
Are you sure you said goodbye to the left, Lindsay? Because that's a sex-negative feminist point. That's not a sex-positive feminist point. That is a sex-negative point. That's what they say. Pornography negatively influences men's opinions on women, or their views on women. It's the male gaze, as per usual. How? You're making a positive claim here, so the onus is on you to actually prove that when I watch porn and I see a totally realistic situation, guys, in porn, that's somehow going to make me think, yeah, women are like that in those situations. Definitely, yeah. Yeah, I can have sex in a pub where conveniently there's nobody anywhere. Right, okay.
As for preventing access, I don't know what that would have looked like, but, you know, of course addiction support is a good idea.
If it even is a thing, there's a lot of evidence to suggest it isn't, and there's people who are showing evidence to suggest it is a thing. That's up to us as a society to figure that out. Yeah, and I kind of don't know what it would be like to decrease exposure, but I would hazard a guess, if it's the internet, there's going to be algorithms and blockbots and filters. Yeah, it's not like the UK government is currently implementing that right now.
But people don't consider that this could be my position. It's just instantly, oh wow, look at this hypocrite free speech warrior, or this is so disappointing coming from you, a free speech warrior.
No, Lindsay. People accept that as your position. They just can't believe it. And thus, say that you're a hypocrite, because it is hypocritical. You cannot go out there and say that you are for free speech and present yourself as a free speech warrior and then turn around and go, no, excuse me, no pornography on my cock, please. That is hypocrisy. And I don't care if that is a self-contradiction that makes you who you are. That is still hypocrisy. And it doesn't excuse it.
But I'm more than a free speech warrior, people. I'm a human being who has mixed feelings about many topics.
You didn't express a mixed feeling. And yes, you are a human being. We get that. We know what you're trying to do. You're trying to make repetitive points, make it stick, to make it look like, yes, this is okay because I'm a human being. I'm a contradictory person. I'm complex.
So while I don't want to criminalize pornography, like some oversensitive people suggested...
Yeah, but if you're saying that it's a health hazard and you say that you want to have less exposure, i.e. you want to censor it because that's what you're actually suggesting, then it will have to be criminalised, all of it, because it's a health hazard. Health hazards don't benefit people. Yeah, we can see that it does have some positive benefits. It's a masturbatory aid. And what does masturbatory aids bring about? They bring about masturbation. And what does masturbation bring about? Good feelings, dopamine, things like that. Also, very good preventions of cancer. Doesn't stop cancer, doesn't cure it, just helps prevent it. You would also then basically be saying that then masturbation could potentially become stigmatised or re-stigmatised, and just normal men doing normal bodily functions therefore is bad. I wonder, what is your view on the no-fap movement? And I also wonder, due to that jokey comment, the baity comment, I'm wondering, is this from a place of insecurity? Do you not like your men looking at other women, or your boyfriend looking at other women? It'd be interesting to know.
On the policy side, I actually do believe, though, for example, that lingerie stores like Victoria's Secret and La Senza should not be allowed to have huge billboard images inside malls or outside on the street that feature women in their BDSM-inspired underwear sucking a lollipop or whatever, and you can see the top of their vulva.
Well, I live in the UK, and I've not really seen them do that, showing vulva. But the thing is, what is the difference between that and your normal H&M advert, or your normal bikini thing, like just showing a woman in a bikini, like the Beachbody Ready thing? There's really not much of a difference other than the pose. She's not nude, she's in a bikini. So if that's bad, then are the others bad?
I don't want my future daughter or son to walk by that in the mall or on the street and think that the public display of softcore pornography is normal.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children? Well, tough shit, it's a free country, and if advertising agency standards, or whatever they're called, advertising standards agency people decide that that is okay, that is okay. And well, deal with it. Your feelings got hurt. Your kids saw a woman. Wow, I'm so sorry that they saw a woman's body a bit more revealed than you would like. I'm so sorry.
John Berger has a documentary series and a book called Ways of Seeing, where he said the famous phrase, "Men act and women appear." Seeing women in their underwear in demure poses or whatever just reinforces the idea that women appear.
What? That doesn't make sense. I mean, it's true if you be in a bar or something, like there's loads of women, guys will flock. But isn't that nature? Isn't that what straight men do? Because you're saying men, gay men don't. They immediately kind of debunk that. And even then, what if the straight guy is in a relationship? He probably wouldn't be interested. He'd probably just be, well, okay, there's loads of girls there, but you know, I've got a girlfriend, whatever, I'm not interested, you guys go have fun. If he's loyal, that is, which most men are. But the thing is, you bring this up straight after Victoria's Secret. And now I don't know about Love Fencer, was it? But Victoria's Secret doesn't aim their products at men. They aim it at women. Women. So that defeats your entire point. You don't understand even what these companies are appealing to and why they do it. They show that so that women think, oh, I could look good in that. It's not for men, it's for women. Women to gawk at.
As for inside the Victoria's Secret or La Senza store, show whatever images you want because you chose to go inside.
You're still advocating for censorship.
But when children and even teenagers are going to walk by, let's consider that maybe it shouldn't be normal to display that kind of imagery. So that's an example of a policy I would stand by.
You are a Puritan in the Cromwellian sense. Wow, this is just insane. You know, we can't just show that people have bodies and that beautiful people exist and have beautiful bodies. Like, we just can't show that to kids. because it's going to hurt them somehow. I can't say why, I won't say why, but just remember it's negative because kids could see it. Right, even though 99% of kids who see these things grow up to be normal, healthy adults who then also watch porn. So, yeah. What's your point here?
Another thing I've noticed a couple times with free speech warriorism is when a free speech warrior responds to someone on Twitter by retweeting or commenting, and then the free speech warrior's followers comment on the original post and sometimes insult or make fun of the original post. Then the original poster will claim they're being harassed by trolls, and they'll lock their account and claim that free speech warriors actually bully people off of social media and silence discussion, which is therefore against free speech. But honestly, you just have to be a major loser to take that position. If you publicly post something on Twitter with your opinion, and then you complain you're being harassed when 10 people tell you you're wrong, you're a loser and that's really it. I'm insulted multiple times, almost every single time I post something on Twitter, and I either laugh or I block them. I don't whine about being harassed.
Oh yeah, you block him alright. Next thing you know, you'll have David Sherratt following you everywhere. Hope you're ready for that.
And this attitude of victimhood has real implications. For instance, a Wilfrid Laurier student is currently trying to get me in trouble with the university on account that my Twitter followers were mean to him, as if I am personally responsible for the behavior of tens of thousands of people on a website.
And yet, pornographers are somehow responsible for their work's influence on adults, specifically adult males. I love that contradiction.
Social media is a game, and if you take it any more seriously than that, you're probably not going to fare too well. Now, I want to say that free speech is really not very profound of a topic. I'd probably classify it as a semi-intellectual topic.
Well, you know, she did say this in a free speech speech. Yeah.
All right. Hi, everybody. So today I want to talk about the top 4 things that I have learned as a campus free speech advocate. I think my experience with this is interesting because prior to the events of November 2017, free speech was not something I really cared about, and it was not something I really thought about whatsoever. So before I started my master's degree at Wilfrid Laurier University, where I got in trouble for showing a clip of Jordan Peterson in one of my tutorials and being neutral in regards to his stance on gender-neutral pronouns, I was someone who believed that those who advocate for free speech or start free speech clubs are people who have really vile opinions and just want to be able to spew them. I didn't think about free speech beyond that. This goes back to the idea that most people don't think we have a free speech problem at all. I was one of those people 1 year ago. Back in March 2017, my mom showed me a news article about Jordan Peterson and how he was speaking at McMaster University, and his speech was drowned out by air horns and chanting of protesters. And I didn't think it was that big of a deal because at the time, it didn't resonate with me that these people are stifling and suppressing speech, and moreover, they think they are heroes for doing that.
Now the full context will be put in the description down below. I just wanted to point these clips out to show you that not much has really changed, has it, from what she used to be, it seems. And may I just pause the video right there to say that even the most greatest philosophical and political minds of our entire species have talked about free speech not as just some, second-rate subject. They consider it as amongst the most important things. In fact, the American founding fathers, I nearly said Europe, but she's Canadian, but I'm sure even some of the Canadian constitutionalists, when they were drafting the first Canadian constitution, saw freedom of speech as very important, as they also came from the same tradition as the Americans did, the British tradition of liberalism, where free speech is of paramount importance, or at least it used to be in our two countries, but it still is in America, where it is the First Amendment. From Rosa Luxemburg, from John Stuart Mill, from Voltaire, although he had a wrongly attributed quote, he was still in favour of it and spoke very highly of it. From Christopher Hitchens, loads of people today that you can possibly imagine, they all saw it as important, and that's why authoritarians like Stalin and Hitler tried to snuff it out, because it's so dangerous to people like them. This is not some second-rate subject, girl. You can't just dismiss that because you are currently under fire for what you've said and been outed as a hypocrite. The beauty of free speech is that we can defend your right to say what you're saying now, as well as defend the right of people who are making pornography like Mercedes Carrera. Beautiful, isn't it? It's a shame you don't quite get that. Or at least you pretend to get it. Makes you think.
and that's because there's only so far you can go with it. So free speech is kind of a founding principle of the figures of the intellectual dark web. And so I think that can explain why the intellectual dark web seems to be plateauing right now.
It's plateauing? We're not even getting started. Although I don't remember ever being referred to as a internet dark web. That seems like something that's more akin to the alt-right than somebody like me. I don't consider myself to be part of the dark web or something that's seedy or anything, but the more you know.
The intellectual dark web is coming to be simply the repetition of platitudes. The speaking points usually include sex differences, James Damore, free speech on campus, intersectionality, critical theory, postmodern neo-Marxism, the regressive left, big ideas, diversity of opinion, etc.
James Damore hasn't been in the news for a while. He's kind of gone off the face of the earth. He's probably trying to just be a normal person at this point after, you know, he didn't get his lawsuit results the way he wanted it to be. But everything else there, that's the whole point of why we're here. This is why I make my channel, because of the regressive left and things like you just mentioned. Forgive us for mentioning these things all the time, because these are the things that I consider important and that we need to fight for or against. What? That's like saying, you know, oh, a lion, all that ever does is hunt gazelles, have babies, rear these babies, and then the circle of life continues. What?
Important things, but in my view, the intellectual dark web has plateaued and it's not really developing anymore, which is maybe inevitable, and I'm not blaming anyone for that. I think it peaked quite quickly though, but a revival of excitement around it is still possible. Maybe it needs some new figures added to the mix.
Of course, what we need are these new figures who will say that yes, sometimes we actually do need censorship that actually is going to harm society. And I'm not just talking about the removal of pornography that is of kids or is forced upon somebody that is non-consensual, things like that. No, I'm talking about removing the consensual shit. And then who knows, maybe we should just get rid of that advertisement that's, you know, just advertising body wear, you know, like, I don't know, a bikini, because, you know, it's just going to harm people's opinions on women and shit like that. And, you know, opinions on women have to be good, you know? They can't be mixed or contradictory or anything like that. No, we can't have negative opinions on women, because why not? Yeah, those are the figureheads we need.
And do I consider myself a quote-unquote member of the intellectual dark web? I don't think so. I did at first because I was in a video Dave Rubin made about it, and I was added to a couple websites and lots of IDW Twitter lists. But I found myself to be pretty disengaged from it for quite a while now, and I think a large part of that is simply the repetition. So no, I no longer consider myself a member, if that means anything at all.
All these fucking labels just annoy the hell out of me. It seems like somebody always has a label. If it's skeptic, intellectual dark web, skeptosphere. It's just the free speech movement, I think, at this point, or people who advocate for free speech. And I'm sorry that we say things over and over again, because sadly, some things have to be said over and over again, because we're fighting the same people for the last God knows how many years. I'm sorry that we can't all get on board with your crusade, but what else do you want me to do? And that's her outro. So as you can see, people, she's really not changed that much. Only see, she's gone the complete opposite direction. And she's just trying to make excuses for this hypocritical position. She's been outed for it. So rather than reflect on it and think, maybe it is hypocritical. No, instead, she's thought, well, yeah, it is hypocritical, but the kids are wrong. So she's basically doing a Principal Skinner here. She's trying to make up for this lack of real, like, self-reflection and this contradiction. And instead of trying to kind of, you know, correct this, because this isn't really the kind of contradiction you want when you've put yourself in the public sphere as somebody who will fight for free speech. Like, this is something you should probably fix. I'm not trying to say change your opinion overnight, but this is not a contradiction one really should have. I don't know how else to explain it without sounding like that. Instead, she makes excuses for it, as if it's not her fault, it's just the way she is. Well, to some extent, yeah, but that doesn't excuse it. That doesn't make it less hypocritical. Doesn't matter. Doesn't change anything. But anyway, what else can I say about this? It's just her making excuses for her bullshit, and she can't really handle the fact that we live in a society where Victoria's Secrets can advertise their wares, and the advertising standards people have no problem with it, and she doesn't want her kids to see that, even though you don't really see a Victoria's Secrets advert that much. It's kind of funny she didn't mention Ann Summers either, but then again, Ann Summers also appeals to women. Ann Summers is even worse. Anyway, it's been your boy. I think I'll just be repeating myself. Lindsay Shepherd's an idiot. You know, we were fooled. This is a hack broad. This is a classic hack broad, trad thought, whatever. It doesn't matter. Hack broad is a hack broad. This is why I make these videos, because these people need to be called out. So anyway, I'm sure she'll have a lot of her defenders because, you know, pussy power, man. It's powerful. Has an effect on guys. Possibly more than porn, but, well, you know, that's just my 2 cents. I can't prove it. See you later, Lindsay.